go ahead and continue your practice in these tools. This is the second in the series, so please follow along. Again, going back to your airbrush, you can airbrush, and that is the equivalent to a spray can. It can come in very handy when you're trying to layer in colors or trying to shade, depending upon the size of your canvas. I find it's rather cumbersome because it doesn't give you a lot of flexibility on how to lay the paint down. It pretty much pre-selects how it's going to put the pattern down, so it is kind of limited. So a lot of the people painting things out there use a technique which is putting in a line art or a freeform line or a curve line in order to do their shading, which is gradiating from one shade of color to another shade. They will in fact use the curve tool or a line tool to alter the color slightly, and then they'll use their flood fill to put the actual shading in. Again, very handy to use your flood fill tool for that purpose, because it allows you to paint quickly without having to go through with your brush tool and do it one pixel at a time, or in some cases going over the lines and having to go back and redo it. Can be very frustrating, and there's a lot of tricks for doing this quickly and making your painting a lot more fun if you just go through the series and follow some of the tricks and tips. Now going down here to your text tool. Your text tool is very flexible because you can lay text on your canvas. You can choose the size, you can choose the font, which is the shape of the actual text that you're laying onto the canvas, and you can choose whether it's bold, italic, or underlined. And then once you've laid the text down, you can use your selection tool, and then you can choose to resize, or within the selection you can learn to drag it out. Now if you watch my other videos, I'll show you how to do that. They're already posted on YouTube, so if you haven't seen them, please go watch them. Then there's the line tool. Now the line tool is very specific in when you click on it and lay a line down. For the line tool, it will lay a straight line every time from the point you start to the point you finish. So you always get a straight line from point A to point B. The curve tool is just a follow-on to that. It'll give you a curve line, which means you can click from one point to another. It will start with a straight line, then you can click at any point in between there, and then you can drag it up, down, or left or right, and it'll move the line around. That comes in 3 steps. It will allow you to click on the line 2 times before it actually sets. So if you're going to click a curve and move it around, it's probably better if you get very comfortable with this tool by clicking it once, dropping your line, and using your curve tool, and rather than clicking again, you go back over to your selection tools over here for your tools, click on another tool, then click back to your curve line to continue another curve line. If you click it the second time, it will start doing some funky things on you. Until you get very comfortable with the tool, you need to learn to use this particular tool carefully, because it will frustrate you to no end if you don't realize that it gives you a 2-click option before it sets your line in place, unless you go back over here and click on something. Your rectangles, your polygons, your ellipses, and your rounded rectangles are all preformed shapes. Now let's cover some of these in a little bit more detail. I've given you all the basic tools, but some of these tools have options within them. Now some of those options that are covered are within the different selection tools. Say you pick a line tool. The line tool gives you an option for how big of a line you want. Now within the line tool, within your paintbrush tool, it gives you the paintbrush shapes. In the line tool, it will give you a line option. In some cases, both of these will in fact be visible on the left side below where your toolbar is for the different tools. One of these, or 2 of these, or even 3 of these will appear below the toolbar, and we're going to cover these real quickly too. This is the size of your line. This is going to be the size of your eraser, or other functions. If it's available, it will actually show up as squares, and this is just designating the size of something that of the tool that you're using. And that would be this here, and down here you notice the times symbol with the same shapes. This is for zooming in, And then there's this one here for doing your preform shapes. This gives you the option for a outline preform shape. This gives you an outline preform shape with the background filled to the color that you choose, or just a preform shape with a primary color. Any one of these can be useful. Please practice and learn how to use these. Now, let's step down here to the bottom part of your toolbar. It's going to come up with this almost in every case. When you're laying something on the canvas, you have an option for either opaque or transparent. Opaque is going to be this one here with the white background. Opaque will be the dotted line here without the background. Then there's your color palette. Now notice on the left side here you've got a primary color and a secondary color. The primary color, you notice, is on top of the background color. This can make a difference, and when you left and right click you will get different results. When you left click you get the primary color, when you right click you get the background color. Any one of these colors can be standard, or you can double click them and make them custom colors, which will appear on your color drop down menu, which is another lesson in the series, but you can actually make custom color palettes. I prefer making a custom color palette and then laying it down on the canvas that I'm working with in the paint, because it makes it easier using your eyedropper tool and using the eyedropper tool to go and select the color shade that you want for what it is you're working on. Now you'll notice here there's a cursor. This cursor here is for selecting things. This cursor is, once you've selected, this is actually the moving cursor, which shows you that you can click on this and drag whatever you've selected around on the canvas. And again, your color picker. Over here you've got another drop down. This is for your spray can. This will designate how big the spray pattern is. Now again, each one of these will give you the options for sizes. This one, this one, this one, and this one. Your spray can, your brush size, your eraser size, and your line size all have the option to get bigger or smaller. If you use the line size in conjunction with your control and your plus and minus keys on the number keypad, it will actually make it bigger than these lines here that you can see. What you see here is just a representation of what you can do, and the control and plus key will actually allow you to get larger than some of these shapes here. So be aware that there are some special features. Also within the text you can change your font, you can change the size, and you can underline it, bold it, or italicize it. Anyway, I don't want to take too much more time on this lesson. Please just watch what you've seen, practice. The options that will appear depending upon the tool you selected can change the character of the tool you select. It can affect the size and shape and the pattern of the tool and how it's applied to the canvas to give you different results. I could go into details, but again, you need to practice. Play with the tools, learn to use them. Notice the options and see the difference. Let's step back here real quickly before I end this video. Specifically, the one thing I hadn't covered yet, which is a very vital, useful tool, is your status bar at the bottom. Status bar will tell you where your mouse is on the canvas right here in this square box. If you're using your preform shapes, it will actually tell you the size and the shape. Once you click on it and you start your process of laying something on the canvas, this box here will open up and you'll start getting numbers. If the numbers match 50-50, you're going to get a perfect circle or a perfect square. Again, learning to use these tools are going to be very handy for you in the long run, because these will work, or they will overlap on other programs within the Windows environment. So the tools that you're learning here aren't just for paint. These tools that you're learning are going to be very useful in other programs when you're working with other programs such as Excel or Microsoft Office. So please be aware of that. This isn't just to teach you how to paint. I'm not going to make you Picasso. We're just covering getting you more comfortable within the Windows environment.